We've been talking, Debbie and I, about how the New World Order is being reconfigured. And there appears to be an emerging alliance. We can see it between China and Russia. And there may be a third player here that we're forgetting about, and that is the radical Islamic regimes. And I can think specifically of two, Iran and Turkey. Now, all of this may seem a little bit abstract, a little bit theoretical, like, is this alliance really materializing? Is there some place in the world where we can see it actually in effect? And as it turns out, there is, and that country is Venezuela.
Well, as I've told you for many years, I've been very, very afraid of these alliances that are happening with these countries, with these superpower countries, and Venezuela. And, for obvious reasons, I think, geopolitically, if they have weapons and they put weapons in the hands of the Venezuelans or in Venezuela and act as on their own behalf, we are looking at short-range missiles coming from Venezuela to our shores. Only 1,300 miles separate Venezuela, Caracas, from Miami. So very, very short-range missiles is all that's needed, right? So it's worried me, and it worries me even more that we don't talk about it and that we don't have I don't think we have a good grasp on what's really going on. So, a couple of years, there's been a lot of instability with the Maduro regime, and they've been trying to oust him, and unsuccessfully. And of course, now that Biden is in control, that is not happening, Venezolanos. I hate to tell you, but you are not going to be a free country. So there was a Newsweek article a couple of years ago that basically said that the United States was more concerned about China. Of the three countries, they didn't really specify Turkey as much, but of, China, Russia, Iran, they were more concerned about China. And I really wasn't. I was actually a little more concerned about Iran because I've heard of, Venezuelan friends of mine talking about how they saw these trucks with Farsi on them and they thought they were missiles. And of course, that really scared me a little bit.
Well, I think you were thinking probably more in terms of terrorism.
Yes, I was thinking more in terms of that, yes.
And in terms of Iran's got an appetite for getting a nuclear weapon. Let's remember that the other two countries here, Russia and China, have a substantial arsenal of weapons. Interestingly, Russia the most,
yes,
and China second.
Yeah. So anyway, all three countries have sold weapons to Venezuela in the billions of dollars. And so Venezuela owes them a lot of money. So not only have they propped them up militarily, but they have given them money for oil refinement. They have given them money for infrastructure because if some of you recall, all of the grids in Venezuela were mossed over, and so they were having all these horrible blackouts. I know my aunt would often WhatsApp me and say, "Hey, we don't have any Wi-Fi. I'm having to go over here to get Wi-Fi. Please help us. Is there anything you can do?" I mean, how helpless, was I getting these messages from her, But so they have supposedly tried to help them with infrastructure. So all that to say that geopolitically, it's very smart of Russia, China, and Iran to do this, being so close to us.
Well, I also think it's fascinating how these countries, very different as they are historically, are able to get along. In other words, there's obviously some kind of a power-sharing agreement.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah, but right. But you would think that now, having Venezuela, they would be jostling, and maybe they are a little bit, for who's really calling the shots in Venezuela. But it could very well be that they figured out a way to share the spoils, because you do have an oil-rich country in Venezuela. Look at this. I don't know if you've seen this, honey. It just came out. This is that the Biden administration is actually talking about, how they want
with PDVSA.
That they might have to, be pressured into stopping buying Russian oil. They don't want to. They're actually subsidizing the war right now. The Biden administration is. But I think they feel that if, public pressure mounts and we have to stop buying from Russia, why don't we buy from Venezuela instead? Can you believe this?
Okay, Venezuela, I just want to just make this clear. Russia owns Venezuela.
Right. Right.
Russia owns owns Venezuela. In fact, Venezuela cannot possibly pay back the debt that they owe Russia for oil. So if Biden is dumb enough to think that he's somehow going around Putin and making deals with Maduro, you know what? Maduro.
Well, it's kind of like, here's Putin. He's sort of like a chess player, and he's watching this global board, and he's sort of and here's Biden. He's like playing checkers. He's like, I'm gonna make a move.
Exactly.
What a dummy.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
Oh my goodness.
He's really funneling money to Russia through Venezuela, and the State Department guys think that they're making genius moves. Let's kind of get around the Russians by going to Venezuela.
This is unbelievably dumb. So not only does Russia own Venezuela, but so does China and so does Iran. So
and by the way, they've talked about getting oil from Iran. They're talking about, let's relax sanctions. Now, what I think is going on is that the left wingers in the Biden administration want to restore Venezuela. They want to actually to prop up the Maduro regime. They want to prop up Iran, and they're using this Ukraine thing as an excuse.
You look at this. So the energy sector, this is according to the Center for Strategic and International Studies. The energy sector in the centerpiece of Caracas's relationship with the centerpiece of Caracas' relationship with the Kremlin. The centerpiece.
Yeah. So we're seeing, I think, on the global stage, a great unwinding. And, it seemed that the United States was losing its kind of unipolar status in the world, losing its footing. Mm-hmm. And I think with Biden, this losing of footing has become a complete mudslide. We've just got this messed up guy in the White House. And as a result, we're seeing a rapid unwinding of American power. It's going to be very hard to put all this back.